this classic AFC West matchup between the Chiefs and the Chargers. Unfortunately, it's not going to have the normal, I would say, intensity in this matchup. Yeah, this game doesn't really mean too much of anything for either team outside of maybe draft positions and potential playoff seeding. So right now we're going to break down the game here for you, both, give our predictions and also some offseason predictions as well for both teams. But before we do that, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. Ryan, want to throw it over to you here. Just what a disappointing season for both teams as well. I'm not super confident for this Chiefs team going into the playoffs here. They
No.
have won the division. They just have struggled overall. I think a lot of I've been seeing in sports where a lot of fingers are being pointed, and I think it's just overall just the big issues, the overall management of the receiving room. I feel it's just been the big problem. Obviously, it's the receivers, but at the same time, the GM's front office didn't set this team up for success, thinking that they can go with MVS and then a rookie receiver who I like, Rashi Rice. I'm not trying to. I think he's going to be very good in Kansas City. But they lead the team. They lead the league in drops. There's just not that overall momentum there. Now they've done a good job on the defensive side of the ball. This defense is scary, which is what makes me think kind of gives them hope if they can figure out how to catch the ball that they could do well in the offseason. And then speaking of
Postseason.
oh, sorry, in the postseason, my apologies. But then speaking of then just disappointing seasons and the Chargers, who I will say injury riddled, but also I think coach riddled, which I think they've solved that one problem there by firing Brandon Staley. It's going to be an interesting offseason to see who they hire as their head coach here. Any names immediately that stick out to you for the Chargers here to hire as their new head coach?
Uh, well, I think Bill Belichick is one. I think him coming in and he is your GM and head coach. I don't think he would take a job otherwise. And for me, he would be a great. They need a guy that can come in and help them win close games, and they have the talent to do it. I think they just need some rounding of the edges and then the guy to get the situational football right. Where Brendan Staley did not, he did not get situational football correct in the slightest.
Yeah.
And
I also think, too, to that point, with the amount of talent that's on that Chargers defense, like that would
oh
be. I think then you have Bill Belichick
yeah,
there. Like, I think that would be absurd. Like, so
yeah.
if they could somehow work, now they'd have to give up their first round pick. I think.
No, I with where they're picking, if they give up a second and then maybe like a future third, I think they could do it. Uh,
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, because I guess if you're looking at comps, the
because
Broncos,
he's also 72.
yeah, man, he's that old. Holy cow! But
Yeah,
in comps, I guess the Broncos gave up a late first rounder for Sean Payton,
yeah,
and then the Patriots would be essentially 5 picks later. So I could see that.
yeah.
I could see
So
that.
that's the first one. But then I also think if you want to go with a Ben Johnson or a Bobby Slovic and get this offense just on another level, then I could definitely see them going that direction as well. You have, to me, the hardest piece to the puzzle is you have Justin Herbert. Like getting that franchise quarterback is the hardest part, and then dressing everything up from there is a little easier to fill in once when you have the quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I do think Bill Belichick is the front runner. There was a report that two teams have been showing a good amount of interest in trading for Bill Belichick, and the Chargers were one of those teams. I believe that report came out on The Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just have to see how it plays out. We're not about 5 days away from Black Monday when all these coaches get fired. So it'll be interesting to see where everybody ends up and kind of get the offseason started. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then with the Chiefs, I think they thought that Patrick Mahomes would make up for the lack of talent at wide receiver, and in a large part he has, except for the fact that one, they're going to get him killed because this offensive line, they let both of their tackles go from last year, and then they paid Jawan Taylor $20 million a year contract, and it has not worked out, to say the least. He is under pressure almost every play, and I feel like he's just running for his life. Like I have
Mm-hmm.
no idea why uh, or how this offensive line is that porous. Um, but yeah, I feel like he's running for his life every single play, and then these receivers just cannot catch the ball. I mean, there have been passes that you cannot put more in a bucket. Like you couldn't hand the ball to these receivers better sometimes, and they're still dropping it. And I like that's just really frustrating. This offense as a whole, I don't want to say looks to be in shambles because they're not at that point yet, but they're not nearly as explosive or potent as they have been. One thing too, and Chiefs fans, let me know if you think I'm wrong in the comments, but I do kind of feel like Travis Kelsey has lost a little bit of a step. He's 35, um, and just he hasn't quite had the year. I do know like he started off the year with a knee injury, and then I believe he's also had an ankle injury, and that knee injury, while it got better, but he's been playing through a lot. So let me know what you think down in the comments on if you think he's slowing down. I mean, he's had a clear Hall of Fame career already. So
Yeah,
anything at this point is cherry
yeah.
on top. So
I think there's one thing for us as non-professional athletes. Last time I checked, it's like when you have those early season or like end of training camp injuries, and same thing. Like I think Joe Burrow's another example as well, like that calf injury. It then took him both those players. It took them 4 to 5 weeks. It felt like to really come back on strong, and then uh, and I say that Travis Kelsey had he did have some games in that time, like for example, like the Chicago game, but that was when Chicago was playing horrible. Uh, but so I think that to try and play through it and try and battle through that, then you're just sore, not really at 100%. So I could maybe see. I'd be curious to see and this just is a hindsight, like what if scenario, but like if he didn't get hurt, didn't have that knee injury at the beginning of the season, like I think that Tuesday before or that Monday before the Lions game in week one,
yeah,
what his season would be like coming in fully healthy. But that's just a what if. Injuries happen here, so maybe a full off season. But he is also 235, like he is on the latter end of his career as well. I also think too, and another thing as well, I think teams probably game planned and they're like
that is
it's kind of like
he's
on a
the only
basketball team.
consistent guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like if you're on a basketball team and it's like the shooting guards like can't shoot. I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to guard the lane. Then we're going to guard your premier center and make it really difficult for him. We're going to let these shooters like maybe they'll get hot, but probably not based on what we've seen on film. So I think that also two teams can game plan against him, maybe load up the middle of the field a little bit more, and that's kind of where Travis Kelsey likes to eat. So,
yeah,
uh, to your point, quickly going back to the Chargers here, I think Bill Belichick, I think that would be very interesting. And after thinking about it too, with what the Broncos traded for Sean Payton, I think that would be comparable. And so, curious what Patriots fans think of me comparing Bill Belichick and Sean Payton as comparable. But I think San Diego is also a high destination for to go play football at, but not anymore in the NFL. The Chargers team, if you look at it, you still got Justin Herbert, who I think is one of the better quarterbacks, definitely one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Um, you have youngish receiving room. You got Quentin Johnson, the first round receiver, who's still, I think, kind of a project. But then you still have guys like Keenan Allen, Mike Williams on contract, Austin Eckler. We'll have to see if he comes back. Probably not. But it's still, I still think there are offensive pieces there that are very desirable for a young offensive coordinator who wants to be head coach. Or then also, too, at the same time, Bill Belichick, with how good that defense is with Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Asante Samuel Jr., Derwin James. I mean, there's a lot of good pieces on the defensive side as well that just were not utilized properly. And if you put Bill Belichick on as the head coach managing that defense, that could be really scary. I think it could be very interesting to watch. So it's going to be interesting to see how the offseason shakes out. But let's get into our predictions here for this game. But before we do that, as I said at the beginning of the video, if you haven't already, liked and subscribe and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. All right now we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the playoffs here, and so we're sitting at about 2,400. So maybe if we get like 100 subs a week, that would be pretty cool, and we can reach that goal. So like, subscribe, and join our growing community. Ryan, who do you have winning this game and why?
So I'm actually going to go with the Chiefs. They've clinched the division. They are going to have a home playoff game, and I think they're actually locked in at the
I just checked that they are locked in the 3 seed.
At the 3 seed. I just don't have any faith in the Chargers. So they're just playing for pride. And now that I'm like saying this, maybe I'll switch my pick to the Chargers. I don't know. I just don't. I don't really have faith in the Chiefs either, because if their starters can't catch, I doubt their backups can either. But this Chiefs defense is one of the better ones in the NFL, and I do just think these weapons and whatnot are good enough to win this game going out. So
it's gonna be interesting to see kind of what the pitch count is like for some of these guys here. Also, too, I feel like a lot of the Chiefs' main starters or any healthy guys probably won't play.
Yeah.
I think it potentially could be a swan song for Austin Eckler as well. I mentioned that in our Chiefs video also on some of the guys. So I think it's going to be their final game here. Keenan Allen, maybe we'll have to see. There were just some rumors of him moving on or being traded just because of where the team's at. Chargers team as of right now projected at negative $33 million in cap space also. So that's where I think some of these players might get cut or traded. So I have to kind of go and see. That makes me also think that some of these key players maybe won't play in Week 18 with the projection that they're going to get traded or cut. Or traded in the offseason for assets. If they get cut, then it doesn't matter if they play or not. So I'm also going to go with Kansas City as well. And so I think it could be a coin flip overall. But at the same time, I'll have Andy Reid probably win this one out as a better coach.
Yeah, that's true. And also right now, so only Kadarius Toney and Donovan Smith are ruled out for this matchup for the Chiefs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this one. Week 18 is always a crapshoot. Anyways, but let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Todd and I are trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the postseason, or by the end of the postseason. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Kansas City Chiefs? Will it be the Los Angeles Chargers? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.